I was a girl in a book, this would all be so easy. Just give up the world happily.
Falling in Love, Part 2. A Giyuu ex-listener, one shot. As you continue north, your mind was buzzing, full of thoughts and emotions. You tried to take your mind off things by admiring the scenery and thinking about the mission. Lost in thought, you hadn't even realized you arrived at the hotel. "Ellen?" A far too familiar voice called. You lifted your head up for your eyes to be met with a sign that read, Wisteria Estate. Wisteria Estate? You questioned. Isn't that just like a wisteria house? Wisteria estates are a lot bigger, so can house more people, Giyuu said calmly. We're in a part of Japan that's heavily popular with demons, meaning lots of demon slayers come this way. Similar to wisteria houses, the owners and their families have been saved by the demon slayers countless times. He explained. How the fuck do you know so much about wisteria estates? You chuckled softly. Experience, he simply stated. You could have sworn you saw the corner of his mouth slightly curve up, almost as if he was smiling. But you wouldn't dare bring it up, especially now that you finally weren't at each other's throats. You straightened yourself up and walked forward, admiring the trees of wisteria draped alongside of the doorway. You went to grab the door handle only to be met with Giyuu's hand, which of course was also on the door handle. He flinched at your sudden touch. You pulled your hand away, your heart pounding in the process. You leant forward to grab the handle again, but just as your fingers wrapped around the cold metal, a much older woman emerged, opening the door. Her sudden appearance caused you to trip over your own feet. You stumbled, preparing to catch your fall. Only you didn't fall. You felt a strong arm around your waist, holding you in place. Your eyes grew wide as he introduced himself and you. "Ah, yes," the old lady exclaimed. "I believe it was Lady Kocho who booked the room. Follow me." Tomioka?" You questioned, glancing at his arm that was still around your waist. He let go quickly, allowing you to get back on your feet. Only a few minutes had passed before you had caught up to the old lady, and she'd given the key to you in Giyuu's room. It was quite late and you were pretty tired, so you wanted nothing more than to sink down into a mattress under the covers. You put the key into the keyhole, turning it until you hear a click. You pushed the door open, holding it for Giyuu as he entered the room with you. You took a minute to look at the room. A small desk sat nicely in the corner, whilst a lamp that emitted a soft golden glow hung from the ceiling. A smaller room that connected to the larger one you were in right now contained a well-lit bathroom with fairly large showers in the corner. You turned back to notice a bed sitting in the corner with a bed. One bed? There was only one bed. You turned to look at the locked door to the bathroom where Giyuu was freshening up. About 10 minutes had passed and you were so deep in thought you hadn't even noticed Giyuu standing behind you. "Ellen, you good?" he asked, stoic as usual. You turned to face him. His hair was still wet and his face was still slightly flushed from the steam from the shower. You inhaled deeply, mentally preparing yourself for what you were about to say. "I don't know if Shinobu did it on purpose or there was a mistake with something, but just know that..." He cut you off. You had a tendency to ramble on when you were nervous. "It's fine, Ellen. We'll make it work," he assured, glancing towards the bed. You nodded before taking your clothes to go freshen up. After getting dressed, you stepped back into the room where Giyuu's eyes immediately laid on your form. Silence arose as you made your way to one side of the bed whilst Giyuu went to the other side. You got in first, turning your back to him, exhaling as you got under the covers. Giyuu also had his back to you, facing the window where the moon stood high. The silence grew thick, as if someone desperately needed to say something. Wyan. Your first name? He never used your first name. But God, did you like the way it sounded? You mumbled a tired back. Before silence. You felt the bed shift ever so slightly as you turned to look over your shoulder. He was looking at the moon. What are we? He quietly muttered, his eyes still fixated on the night sky. You thought about it for a minute. Friends? Acquaintances? Mission partners? No. It felt more than that. You'd spent most of your time with him, arguing, but recently, the atmosphere between you two had changed. He couldn't tell if it was from exhaustion, but Giyuu found himself turning around so he was facing your back. Your heart skipped a beat as he moved closer. Giyuu, Fuck, Wyan. Why do you make me feel like this? He whispered into your ear. You felt the bed shift again until he was so close you could feel his hair tickle the back of your neck. He snaked his arm around your waist, pulling you closer to him. You relaxed at his touch as he held you tighter. You stayed like that for some time, until you turned to face him. You're so gorgeous, Wyan, he mumbled. You melted into his embrace even more, resting your head on his chest. The sound of his heartbeat was steady, enough to make you fall asleep. Wyan, he softly spoke. You stayed silent. Be mine.